Guess what time of year it is? That's right. NBA season starts next week, and you guys, I'm so excited. We get back to the great game of basketball playing now in America after all that drama in China. It's going to be incredible, and this is one of the most exciting years that we've had in quite a while. The West is as wide open as it's ever been. Kevin Durant obviously goes east, plays with Brooklyn, and of course he's out for the year, most likely with the Achilles injury. Golden State's not the superpower they once were. Kawhi teams up with Paul George in LA. LeBron and AD for the Lakers. Mike Conley goes to the Jazz. This is going to be a competitive conference. On the other side, we have the emergence of Giannis Antetokounmpo and company. Can they repeat what they've done last year? And I think it's going to be an incredible year. Um, Parity is back, and I think that's good for the league, especially because it's not like there's just a bunch of ant teams. There's a lot of really good teams out there from top to bottom. I mean, if you look at the Clippers, they have arguably one of the best defensive teams we've seen in a long time. They have two wings that can guard anybody in Kawhi and Paul George. You have Pat Beverly, one of the best guard defenders in the league. Montrezl Harrell's a force down low. They're going to be dangerous defensively, and they're going to have some pretty good upside offensively between Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. You go to the Lakers with Anthony Davis, one of the most talented players we've seen in recent years, teaming up with LeBron James, arguably one of the top three players of all time. That one's going to be a lot of fun. Now, they have, who knows how those other pieces around them are going to mesh, but you got to like your chances with those two. The Jazz have obviously been one of the better teams the last couple of years. You add Matt Conley to the mix, add uh, Bojan Bogdanovic to the mix, and how much more exciting are those guys? But something I kind of want to focus on, I think that oftentimes gets overlooked, is the importance of veterans. If we look back at the past couple of years, teams that have dominated have been your veteran-laden teams. If you look back, the Warriors, yes, they had the triumvirate of Curry, Clay, KD, also throwing Draymond Green to that mix. But all those guys were 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th years in the league. They had experience. They were veterans and knew what they were doing. And it didn't really play many young guys. If you look at it, coming off the bench, you had Andre Iguodala, who's like 11th, 12th, 13th year during their run. Sean Livingston was a long time NBA player for them. Andrew Bogut through times. Very veteran laden team. Not a lot of young guys that they're throwing into the mix. And you look at last year, everybody thought the Bucks were going to run away with the East, especially when they jumped out to the 2-0 lead versus Toronto. And I'll admit, I was one of those people. I thought Giannis and company were just going to be too much. They were great in the regular season last year. They carried that over to the playoffs and were dominant up through the second game of the Eastern Conference Finals. And then something happened. A veteran-laden Toronto team who's been there before and understands how to play the game just decided to defensively as a unit, we're going to make Giannis a jump shooter. We're going to make other guys beat us and just clog the paint. Marcus Gasol, 14th year in the league, something like that. Played great defense down low. Siakam and Kawhi, they forced him to try and beat them by either making jumpers or passing to other guys, and the Bucks couldn't. The Bucks were the younger team between Middleton and Giannis, still trying to figure out how to win in this league. It was their first time really at the top. Toronto's been there before. Marcus Gasol's been through many playoff battles. Kyle Lowry the same. Kawhi Leonard's obviously been to the finals. Same with Danny Green. This team knew how to compete and knew how to play at the highest level. And we saw that experience really carry over in the playoffs as when they took out the Bucks and with the 4 straight wins in that series, and then took out the Warriors in the finals. And I think that's something to look forward going to the new year. Everybody's super excited about Zion and the young Pelicans. I mean, look at the run that they're going to make. But remember, Zion 19, Alonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram 21, 22, haven't really played a ton of games. Both those guys have had some injuries, haven't played a ton of games in the league. And while I think the Pelicans have a great young core, and they're going to be good for many years to come, it's unrealistic to expect them to all of a sudden be a playoff team and make this huge jump. Because if you look around the rest of the West, it's a bunch of veteran-laden teams. I mean, you have the Warriors, who obviously have Curry, Draymond, D'Angelo Russell's been in the league for a while, and they'll have Clay coming back, towards the latter half of the season. The Clippers, veterans, Kawhi, PG, 8+ year in the league, Patrick Beverly, Montrezl Harrell, guys have been there before. The Lakers, you have LeBron, AD, Danny Green, Kyle Kuzma's now 4th year, but Kyle Kuzma doesn't even have to be the guy. He can kind of just score when they need him, but AD and LeBron are going to carry the load for that team. Look at the Jazz. Rudy Gobert's been around for a while. Mike Conley's 12th year in the league, something like that. Bogdanovich has been around. All of these veteran teams are there in front of them in the West, and expecting these young guys all of a sudden come out of nowhere and make a playoff push, I think is quite difficult. I mean, Portland's been around for forever. Lillard and McCollum are both vets. They know how to play. They know how to win. They've been there before. And then the other team that I've heard a lot of excitement about this year, and it'll definitely be fun to watch, are the Mavericks. Keep in mind, Luka Doncic, yes, he won an MVP in the EuroLeague. Yes, he had a great rookie season. But Dallas wasn't that good last year. And Kristaps Porzingis hasn't played in over a year. And yes, he looks special. And the things he can do at 7'3" are incredible. But for them to all of a sudden go from a 30-win team to making the playoffs and being like a 6th seed in the West, I mean, how realistic is that? And so as we watch this year, I encourage you guys to not be disappointed on the failures of these young players, but just be excited by their play, because the NBA has always been and will always be a veteran league. As much as we get excited about the young players, I mean, heck, Karl Anthony Towns is one of the best young players we have in the game, and he's made the playoffs once when he had Jimmy Butler on his team, and Jimmy Butler really carried them to the playoffs that year. And so it's important to keep that into perspective with these new young players that we have coming in after 1 year of college, 19-year-olds. They're not ready to win on the biggest stage. And we saw that in the finals last year. The Raptors were a bunch of vets, a bunch of guys, 28, 29, 30+. Marcus Gasol playing big minutes. Serge Ibaka's been around for a long time. Kawhi Leonard's been there before. Danny Green, Kyle Lowry. They weren't relying on young players to come in a big spot and just figure it out. And that's the key. NBA is all about experience. There's a reason the Lakers, LeBron, did not want to try and make it work with these young players. Yes, Lonzo Ball's talented. Brandon Ingram's a freak athletically and has some definite upside. But if you don't have vets, the people that know how to win, LeBron's figured this out in his career, that the vets are the ones that you want to count on down the stretch. Cleveland, he wanted guys like Kyle Korver, who's been there before, J.R. Smith, Kevin Love. He didn't want to have a 19-year-old Andrew Wiggins on his team. He knew, look, we got to have a guy who's ready to win now. We don't want a guy that could be ready in 6 years. And so if you're looking at this season, focus on those veteran teams, the Clippers of the world, the Jazz, who have built a great team. Even the Nuggets. Yes, the Nuggets are a little bit younger, but they've got some experience now that the last year they get their feet wet in the playoffs. They've made it to the second round, experienced playoff failures. Nikola Jokic is a year older, a year wiser. Gary Harris, Jamal Murray are maturing. They still have Paul Millsap. Still have a decent team. But again, to expect them to win it all this year, I think is a little naive, just because they're still such a young team. And when you come to the playoffs and you get to the crunch time, as we saw against the Blazers last year, veteran teams win out. And look, you guys know I'm a big Spurs fan. I mean, black and white shirt, support my Spurs. I think one team we really need to look out for is the Spurs. And look, yes, very biased in this situation, but they've got the mix for a team that could really make some noise. They've got some young guys that can play, and they have a bunch of veterans to go along with it. They have LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan, who, while nobody will mistake them for the analytics darlings of the world of James Harden, Stephen Curry, and co. that just shoot threes and layups, Aldridge and DeRozan are two very skilled players. Aldridge still dominates in the paint, especially in an NBA where players, we don't see the big post defenders anymore to combat LaMarcus Aldridge and down low, and he can feast on a nightly basis. But they have two key veterans. Rudy Gay also is on the team. He's going to be a great six-man for them, a great scorer off the bench or third, fourth option. But they also have some great young pieces. Namely, they have DeJounte Murray coming back. And you guys, DeJounte Murray, I think, is one of most special players, young players we're going to see in the NBA today. Yes, it's been a while since we've seen him. He missed all of last year, but what he can do defensively, I I think is something that is really important to watch. A lot of times we laud players for their offensive ability, and we're wowed by Trae Young hitting step back threes from 30 feet and making no look dimes left and right. But lest we forget, defense is half of the game, and DeJounte Murray is one of the best guard defenders that we have in the game. He was the youngest player to ever make the All-NBA defensive team, his second team defense, I think at age 21. And he's coming back. He's learned a ton. And I think he's going to be fun to watch. And watching him in preseason, the big knock on him in his first few seasons, he couldn't make a jumper. And he didn't want to take a jumper. Almost Ben Simmons-esque, where teams would dare him to shoot, and he'd reluctantly take a shot every now and again, and most of the time would pass it up. But this year, he's come back with a shooting stroke, and it looks like he's been working a lot with Chip England, the Spurs shot doctor. And if he starts hitting open jumpers, I mean, this team's going to be dangerous. You have DeMar DeRozan and Aldridge, and then you surround him with a DeJounte Murray that can attack and score and hit jumpers and play incredible defense. And you add that with Derek White, who now might not even be starting, the guy that dropped 36 points in the opening round of the playoffs last year. Yeah, he might be the sixth man. I mean, that's nuts. Brandon Forbes is now a year older, you're wiser, it's gotten stronger again, and he's shown incredible shooting acumen the last few seasons, and he keeps improving and improving. And Spurs have said that he's one of the best shooters to come through the building in a long time. I think this team's going to be fun to watch, and I don't know if I can sit here and say that they're going to win the West and they're going to have a chance to go to the finals. As a Spurs fan, I hope that's the case, but as wide open as the West is, I think it's really important that we don't count these guys out. I mean, everyone's like, oh, they're San Antonio, ho-hum. They'll make it to the fringe of the playoffs and they'll be gone. They don't have Kawhi anymore. They don't have Duncan. They don't have Parker. They don't have Ginobili. They're not going to be the same team. But quietly, they're building one of the best young cores in the game. Jakob Poeltl's quietly become a really good rim defender. Is great in the pick and roll. They have Lonnie Walker, a young player. And I think what's going to be really important for them is to focus on playing some of those young players. Right now, Popovich seems kind of keen to play Patty Mills and Marco Bellinelli, and those two have had great careers in the NBA. But right now, they're not great defenders. And if you want to win in this league, you have to be able to play defense. I mean, the Raptors last year won because of their defense. Yes, Kawhi was special offensively, but that defense is what really carried them to the championship. And in the previous years, we always loved the Warriors' offense and how beautiful they were and how unstoppable they were. But the reason they won because of how great they were on the other side of the ball. And when you throw in Derek White, DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker showed his chops defensively in a preseason game against Harden. Jakob Poeltl's good down low. Aldridge is a good defender. They've added DeMar Carroll to the lineup. Rudy Gay's turned into a better defender. DeRozan, while not a great defender, is working on it. This team, if they play some of those younger guys, mix those in with the veterans, with Carroll and Gay and DeRozan and Aldridge, they have the opportunity to be a really good defensive team. And with Aldridge and DeRozan at the helm, they're going to be a good offensive team. And so with that mix, I think they have the potential to do something special this year. And I know everyone's like, oh, they'll be an 8 seed, be lucky to make the playoffs. As wide open as the West is, I think they have a chance to win 50 games and to really challenge when it comes to the playoffs. I mean, they may almost beat Denver without DeJounte Murray, without Lonnie Walker playing any minutes last year. And I think this team's only going to get better. Either way, guys, I think it's going to be an incredible season. It'll be interesting to see the MVP watch this year. Giannis, of course, will be an early front runner, but look for LeBron, who is kind of on a redemption tour after he's been told how bad he was last year and got tons of criticism for his leadership. He's going to be out to prove a point and to make sure the NBA remembers how great he is. I hope you guys are looking forward to the season as much as I am. Thanks for listening. Kevin Fabazzi signing out.